Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with San Francisco Bay Area pianist, composer, bandleader, and educator Adam Shulman. We caught up with him on July 14th, 2020 during the COVID-19 world to talk about his life in jazz. He has been a staple on the San Francisco jazz scene since he moved to the city in 2002. Before the move, Adam was a student at UC Santa Cruz, where he received a degree in classical performance. Over the years, he has worked with the best in jazz. Please get to know him.
I love West meets East. I instantly can tell pretty quickly if I'm going to really dig an album, and it was so warm. It was so, I don't know, almost like Jerry Mulligan. There was just such a good feel to it. I just couldn't stop listening to it.
Oh, thanks so much. Jerry Mulligan's one of my heroes. He's definitely his music was definitely an inspiration.
Right on. Well, I can tell for sure. Talk to me about just kind of your approach to this album. What was your artistic vision for it?
It kind of started out just as an exercise. I was just trying to write kind of bebop heads. I just gave myself kind of a task to write some bebop heads, and then I just kept writing them, and then I just thought, heck, why not try to harmonize these lines? So it kind of came out of that, but at the same time I was listening to a lot of West Coast jazz. Jerry Mulligan's not necessarily West Coast, but he was out here a lot, and but listening to people like Jimmy Giuffre, Shorty Rogers, all these West Coast musicians, and kind of that concept of small big band sort of, a la Birth of the Cool. So it kind of, both those things kind of came together, what I was listening to and kind of the exercises I was giving myself in terms of writing.
So what are your feelings of it coming out during a pandemic? People will have more time to listen, but you can't really back it up live.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I mean, I always really look forward to performing the music and, having an opportunity. The CD release things are always a good opportunity to showcase the music and get some better gigs and stuff. So that's definitely a bummer. I was hoping to, because I recorded it with all these musicians in New York, and I was hoping to do like a CD release out there and then do a CD release here in the West Coast where I live. But yeah, obviously that's not going to happen. So that was a big bummer. But it is what it is, and I'm glad it's out in the world, and I guess there's no use in feeling bummed about it. It's the world we're living in right now. So I'm glad it's out and people have a chance to listen to it.
Talk to me about your beginnings. Where were you born and raised? Kind of how did jazz become your life?
I was born and raised in San Francisco, California, and my dad was a big jazz fan. He's from Brooklyn, New York, and he was kind of around, in his 20s. He was, in the Village every night checking out jazz, and so he became a big jazz fan. So jazz was always playing in the house. It was just constantly on. So it was just kind of seeped in through osmosis. And I started taking piano lessons when I was 7 years old, but studying classical music. But yeah, it was just always kind of in my ear. So once I got to high school and college, more specifically, I still studied classical music through college, but I kind of got more serious about jazz in college, and decided I would like to take a shot at being a jazz musician.
What about mentors? Who's really instrumental in kind of, teaching you things that you still use and think about and employ today?
One of my biggest mentors early on was great pianist Smith Dobson. He was at Santa Cruz. He was teaching at I went to UCSC, UC Santa Cruz, and he was teaching there. And he was really great. We would do these lessons, but they just turn into like 2.5-hour hanging sessions, where we'd listen to music and he'd show me stuff. But yeah, it was very much like a mentor type thing. He really took a ton of time with me and, kind of took me under his wing. And unfortunately, he passed away in a car accident while I was there at UCSC, so it kind of cut that short. And then, I feel like I was kind of mentored by the scene. When I moved to San Francisco, I started playing a lot with and I was really green and young, and I just got tons and tons of mostly some tough love, but mostly supportive love from the older cats and stuff. And so yeah, I learned on the bandstand. Probably that's I learned how to play the music mostly on the bandstand. So yeah, but Smith definitely was like the formative person. I learned probably the most from him early on.
So you've been able to perform with the likes of Marcus Shelby, Patrick Wolf. There's a lot of big names that you've been around. What have you learned from the veterans that's helped you as a teacher?
For me as a teacher, let's see. I mean, I've had some great teachers, that I've learned a lot from, and then I've had some great musicians who I've learned a lot from. So I mean, sometimes they're the same, and sometimes they have different strengths. I'd say for teachers, I can't single anyone out as a teacher, I guess. In terms of the music and playing with a lot of these people, Marcus provided me a ton of my first gigs. He heard me when I was kind of young, and didn't have a lot together, but kind of heard something that he really liked and kind of took a chance on hiring me. And I played with him for, a long time. And, playing his challenging music and just introducing me to all the cats in his band. That was really a formative experience for me. Some other kind of bigger ones, I guess playing with the older musicians, like Vince Latiano is one of them, and John Watala, who plays on a lot of my albums. They really took the time to, just teach me about the music, like what records I should be checking out. And, just kind of gently telling me like, hey, you might want to try this, or, your comping's a little strange on this thing, and maybe you should try this. And Eddie Marshall was another one of those who kind of, taught me a lot just by me being around him, and just trying to absorb the music that they had, from a lifetime of playing it. So,
What do you like the best about being a musician?
There's a few things, I guess. I mean, I love being able to have a creative outlet, where I can express myself. One of the things that I really miss, that this pandemic has really messed up, is I love playing with other people, and just that thing of communicating, with other people using the language of music. But yeah, I mean, I love, it's just so beautiful to me. Music is so beautiful, and I'm really happy that I get to, you know, to do it as a profession, you know, and be around it all the time. So yeah, I mean, but there's, you know, there's a lot of things that I really enjoy about it, but I guess, yeah, if I had to kind of break it down into one thing, I would just say being around the beauty, you know, being around the beauty of music.
So what was the first live jazz show you ever saw that made you think this is something that you would like to do with your life?
Well, the first live jazz show that I remember just being like blown away, it was before I was considering what I was going to do, you know, with my life. But I was a kid. I think I was in middle school, and my dad took me to see Gene Harris at the old Yoshi. The Yoshi's in San Francisco used to be, in Oakland used to be on Claremont Street, the first location. So I remember going there and just being bowled over by his trio. And I think that was kind of the first live jazz concert that I had seen ever. So that was a revelation. And, you know, I'd heard it at home, but it's just an entirely different thing, you know, to see it in person. And then, you know, later on when I was in college, I would, there's a jazz club in Santa Cruz called the Kumbwa, that has a great deal for students. It's like $10 to go to see any show. And I saw like I was just there all the time. And that was definitely more kind of like, oh, I want to be up there. You know, I want to be doing this. Yeah, I think those were two kind of, you know, formative and, yeah, kind of showing me the way concerts that I went to.
Cool. So why do you love jazz?
I don't have a choice. I don't know. I mean, I like I said before, it kind of got into my ear at an early age, but I didn't always love all kinds of jazz. I mean, it's been an continuing exploration for me. I remember, you know, I mean, this record is kind of a bebop record, and I remember a time when I didn't understand bebop. You know, it just, you know, I was more into kind of funky jazz and bluesy jazz and stuff. I didn't really get the hardcore bebop stuff, but now it's like my favorite stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I love that jazz is kind of, it's an exploration, you know, and yeah, different things kind of grab you at different points in your life, but I mean, it's just always spoken to me. You know, not everything has, but certain things speak to me, and then they kind of lead to other things, and yeah, I don't know. That's a tough philosophical question. Why do I love jazz?
That's a good answer, though.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that was a good answer. So, you know, we're going to get to the end of COVID-19 at some point, and we're going to perform live. Everything's going to get back to full force. When that happens, what do you hope both the musician and the audience member realizes from this time away from live jazz?
Mm-hmm. One of the silver linings I feel about this epidemic is that, you know, it's caused everyone to stop, you know, in a lot of ways. I mean, not every, you know, a lot of people are still out there, you know, working hard, and, you know, especially, you know, healthcare workers obviously are really working hard. But for a lot of people, me included, and musicians, it's kind of a time of self-reflection and stopping, you know. And I think people kind of take stock of what's important to them, and you know, I'm hoping that people will kind of recognizing the importance of the arts and of music and jazz, as a beautiful expression of humanity, and realize that it's something that needs to be preserved and celebrated. So that's my hope, and I don't know. I think that really could happen. It's not just kind of like a wild hope or something, but I feel from talking to people around me like there's just a lot of I feel a lot of support. Even though I'm not really working, and you don't see it, you don't get that from from audiences and stuff. I'm definitely feeling it from my interactions with people and stuff, that support for this music.
So everyone has a perception of you, your family, your friends, your fans, your students, but you're the one that's living your life. Who do you think you are?
It changes every day. But I am, I think every one of us is many people. I am Adam Shulman, the jazz musician. I'm Adam Shulman, the son to my parents, and Adam Shulman, the friend. The teacher, and all those people, live inside me, I guess. So, yeah, I think you can't really distill anybody down to one thing. There's no one true Adam Shulman. I'm all those things, I guess. And I think it's good to, personally for me, to not attach myself too much to Adam Shulman, the jazz, the musician. Just because, it's, I don't know, I used to do that a lot more, and, my feelings about myself and my ego would be attached to kind of like how well I felt I played on a gig and all this stuff, and I think it's important to just realize that, we're all just, human beings trying to do the best we can, and, yeah, I am who I am, and it doesn't have to be anything in particular. It can just be me.
That's a great answer, Adam. Thank you for taking some time out to talk about the new album, your life's music, and the strange world we're in. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening and tuning into another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in San Francisco, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Adam for his time, music, and cool. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.